Welcome to another My Wealth webinar. My name is Jeff Hunter and I'm Associate Portfolio Manager with the Townsend, Samani and Hunter Group at Canaccord Genuity. Today's call is an exciting one. We have the executive team from Bitcoin Well on the line. Also on the line are our senior investment advisors, Dave Townsend and Raheem Samani. For more information about our team, our process, and our exclusive My Wealth Global portfolios, please check out mywealthmanager.ca. Today's call will be recorded, so check your email in the coming days for access to the replay webinar. With that, I'll hand it over to our senior partner, Dave Townsend. Dave?
Good afternoon and welcome to our call with Bitcoin Well. We're very excited to bring this to you. And before we get going, I'm going to ask Adam to go through a number of the slides. I'm sure there's many people that are currently shareholders. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Gotta mute my phone. And I'd like to just turn it over to Adam here at this part. And Adam, I will ask you first to sort of introduce Miles. Miles has a long history and just go through, as you go through the decks here, what we're really looking for is how you are, as we were just talking about how hyper growth is going and how it, what you envision it's going to, without telling us too much. So first and foremost, if you could sort of add to, you made some very impressive hires. We're pretty impressed. So I'll let you run through your, the slides here. And we want to leave lots of time for open conversation and questions. And if you can touch on Miles and the rest of the new part of the management team. Please go ahead, Adam.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Dave. And thanks everyone for joining. I'm Adam O'Brien. I'm the founder and CEO of Bitcoin Well. I founded the company in 2013, spent nearly a decade building to what it is today, which we're quite proud of and looking forward to, of course, the next decade. So as Dave mentioned, we've got Miles on the line as well. He's our newly appointed Director of Investor Relations. He comes to us with a wealth of capital markets experience. Another recent hire is our CFO, Alan Stephen, who comes with a decade of banking history and then 2 years of fintech at another Alberta financial technology company. So lots of exciting moves here. We've got our leadership team bolstered up. I'd love to run through this slide deck really quick, touching on a high level, kind of the direction of the organization and where we're going. And then, like you said, Dave, leave it open to a bit of a Q&A. So I'll start with that right now and kind of move through. So as you can see here, we have our name and our ticker. We are currently publicly traded on the venture exchange as BTCW, and we listed July 30th, 2021. So we've got a few months under our belt here. We have our lawyers saying hello, of course. Recommend everyone reads the advisories. And then moving into the business. So a bit about Bitcoin Well. We are an existing Bitcoin ATM company. We've got nearly a decade in this industry of Bitcoin ATMs. What started as the ability to buy Bitcoin, making it as easy as possible to buy Bitcoin. Later down the road, we've been testing and have added the functionality to sell Bitcoin as well, both online and at select ATMs, and are now excited to be moving into the ability to use Bitcoin. How do we give people the benefits of Bitcoin with the convenience of modern banking, and really cementing that niche of making Bitcoin more and more usable for the mass market? So as it says here, that's through a growing portfolio of software designed to enhance buying, selling, and using Bitcoin in the fastest and safest way possible. A key benefit to our business is that we are a retailer to the industry, which means we don't actually have direct exposure to the price of Bitcoin. So as long as transactions are happening within our network, we are able to turn revenue that way. We're not reliant or dependent on the market swings that we all know Bitcoin has. So a bit about the market. We did a recent survey last year. Our marketing group was really targeting in on our target demographic. And we saw that 38% of Canadians polled either own or intend to own cryptocurrency, which is an absolutely massive number when you consider the scale of which that is. We know from recent market data and the decade of data that we've collected that on average, a cryptocurrency owner spends about $350 per month, which in total is a $57 billion annual market just in the Canadian market, which is where we're focused right now. So a massive market opportunity for Bitcoin retailers. And what that doesn't account for is the usability piece of Bitcoin. So we're very excited about this growing market potential. I think anyone watching this industry over the last few years can see that. as well. A bit of the history of the business: 612% growth from 2018 to Q3 2021, 104% CAGR. We're obviously proud of that, seeing how business scales up. This key point of scalability here from 2019 to 2020, I spent the majority of 2018, 2019 building processes and set the scalability stage. And then boom, 2020, we were able to execute that scalability and start this, what Dave alluded to earlier, hyper growth mode. And we're excited to continue in this mode with this bit of renewed and additional vision to making Bitcoin usable. And a bit about where we're going, what you can expect to see of the organization over the next year, and kind of where our focus is expanding first and foremost the ATM network. We have the economies of scale to be able to grow the ATM network. One of the main things that we saw with the ATM network is the intensive capital that was required to expand it organically from there. We did a number of acquisitions last year, which has significantly helped our ability to grow in the ATM space. And now we've got this ATM partner model. This allows other experienced operators outside of the Bitcoin industry to gain exposure to the Bitcoin industry, such as legacy or traditional ATM operators. We currently have one massive ATM partner that is operating through this partner model, where they deploy the hardware, they maintain the hardware, they're focused on placing the hardware, and we do what we do best, which is Bitcoin infrastructure, Bitcoin support, and that white glove service to our customers, which is what keeps them coming back over and over and over again to our ATMs. So signing the second and the third Bitcoin ATM partner is our key focus for Q1. Q2, we're focused on our online capabilities. We currently have the ability to buy, sell, and use Bitcoin online, but really implementing an ability for users to sign up and to sign their friends up, decreasing our customer acquisition costs. Q3, focusing on additional payment rails, trying to get more customers spending more money within that online ecosystem. And then Q4, implementing some AI and machine learning to increase our profitability and take the trading volumes that exist and make them more profitable for us. Of course, this year, we are long awaiting some international expansions. We're very, very excited about that, expanding into other North American markets. And this is talking a bit about our ATM growth from here. We are expecting with the partner program to see significant growth through the ATM network that currently exists today. Next, we're very excited about our online products and service offerings. This is a non-custodial place, meaning the user actually holds, owns, and controls their Bitcoin. That's the true benefit to Bitcoin, is that self-custody capability, while giving them the convenience of modern banking. Just tap your phone to spend money. I can send money peer-to-peer through the Interac e-transfer network. I can pay my bills with the click of a button. We are bringing that functionality into the Bitcoin experience and making it available and possible for the mass market to use it just as easy as their online bank is. Some of the competitive advantages that exist, we're comparing ourselves here to other publicly traded or public markets exposed companies. Obviously, that non-custodial piece where users have the benefits, the true benefits of Bitcoin, is very, very important, coupled with some other key indicators, including the diversified transaction service offerings. There is a plethora of organizations that are going to continue allowing people to buy and sell Bitcoin within a custodial model. And we believe that customers are going to need to and want to do more with their Bitcoin. How do they interact with their Bitcoin on a daily basis? We've built, and we're going to be expanding on building the infrastructure and the platform to allow them to be able to do that. So a bit of a summary here: estimated $57 billion annual market. We are tasked with creating that ecosystem of online products, coupling the benefits of Bitcoin with the convenience of modern banking. We have the existing revenue to supplement that growth through our ATM network that is going to continue to grow through our economies of scale within our organization and the ATM partner program. And we're very excited to have international expansion plans this year. So that's a bit about us. We do have an appendix slide that I'll leave up while questions are going. It's a quick highlight of, here's our beautiful team, of course. And actually, you know what? I will talk about the team quickly. So you have myself, the founder and CEO. You've been listening to me talk for the last 10 minutes or so. We have Alan Stephen, who I talked about earlier. This financial expertise that Alan's bringing, coming from a financial technology company that's seen hypergrowth. Alan joined his previous organization at 25 people and has helped him scale to over 500 before joining the team here at Bitcoin Well. So we're very, very excited to have that high growth, hyper growth, as we coined it earlier, expertise on the financial side at this time. And then Dave Bradley, who everyone knows. Dave, of course, founded what we believe to be the first brick and mortar Bitcoin store in the country and potentially even the world back in 2011 with his brand Bitcoin Brains. Dave joined the team about a year and a half ago to walk us through and help us through this go public process, and has been a key indicator in helping drive our strategy moving forward. We have our board of directors here: Julian Klimochko, Carmen McNary, Michelle McCarthy, Eric Soes, Alice Reimer, and then myself and Dave, all with a wealth of experience both in traditional finance, legal, and then of course the technology side as well. So I will leave this slide up here. There's a lot of words on this slide, which is why I'll leave it here while the questions come in. This is emphasizing what non-custodial really means, and what true ownership of Bitcoin is. And of course, how Bitcoin Well is one of the only platforms in the country that is allowing our users to actually own and control their Bitcoin. So with that, Dave, I'll turn it back to you, and I welcome any and all questions.
Well, first, I'd like to ask Miles. Miles, with your background, could you just speak to your background for a minute? And I'd like to. I'm always interested when senior people join more junior companies. So if you could expand on to us, we're very happy that you're with the company. Just if you wouldn't mind taking our clients and people online with us, just through your background and what's attracted you to Adam and his team here, and where do you think it goes?
Sure. Well, thanks, Dave. I mean, I guess I've had quite a few years of experience in investor relations and in corporate finance for some large cap, for some mega cap companies, most of whose headquarters are here in Calgary. And so I know the utility space, I know the energy infrastructure space, I know pipelines, I know oil and gas quite well. What attracted me to the opportunity here at Bitcoin Well is it's an up and coming financial technology company. It's a burgeoning sector. Obviously, Adam's passion and his expertise in the area are very attractive. You can see his passion for the business. For me, it's something new. I can bring my expertise in investor relations to a company that has a tremendous growth opportunity here in a sector that is clearly growing, and I think is becoming more accepted by mainstream institutional investors. We've seen a number of institutional investors come into the space, investing in public companies. And I think, it's the next step for us is to attract those to Bitcoin Well and our stock itself. So that's a brief overview, Dave. I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Miles. Adam, like one of the things that has really, your presence on social media continues to expand. Can you give us a little color on the shout out you just recently received from the Alberta government? I thought that was quite a vote of confidence in my mind.
Yeah.
How did, just sort of talk about that for a minute.
Sure. Yeah, I think my involvement with the Canadian Blockchain Consortium on the FinTech committee there has really helped grow the company's presence with local government. I think that Minister Schweitzer and I have been in conversation for the last 6 months and maybe a little bit longer. We're the original crypto company that's really seen scale here in Alberta. And I think that as a Minister of Jobs, seeing what the crypto and Bitcoin blockchain community can bring to jobs in Alberta, he's quite proud, and we're kind of slowly becoming his show pony to show just what the crypto community can do for Alberta. Obviously, us cementing our home and committing to Alberta to continue to raise and foster talent here from the local community is very exciting, and we have a tremendous relationship with the local government, both municipality and provincially, which we're quite happy with.
That's great. The one thing that I think deserves a little more depth is white labeling. The size of your potential here and the idea to make the acquisition of the software company that allows you to scale without scaling from a money standpoint, we find very attractive. So the white labeling, just give us pull back the sheet a bit there and look at, how big an opportunity really is that for you, and where, the numbers go.
Yeah, good question, Dave. Thanks. The white labeling capability, like our mission here is to give users a way to interact with their Bitcoin in how they see fit. And there are obviously operational difficulties across the globe, different jurisdictions and different organizations having different regulatory requirements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are building and have built in large part a software that can live outside of jurisdiction. The operator is confined to the jurisdiction, not the software. So our ability to partner with retailers in other jurisdictions and other organizations and give them the same technology that we have puts us in this kind of AWS type of scenario where we're able to have a software that we need to operate, but then we realize that there's monetization capabilities behind that. And we're able to sell that to other jurisdictions as well to be able to kind of have both ends of the coin in that respect. So lots of opportunities there to come. I think that it's so exciting how fast this industry is evolving, and us being at the forefront because of our retail status here and because we are a direct line into consumers, we hear firsthand what consumers want. We then develop that for our own needs. And if other people want to pay us to use that, that's a net benefit as well.
Thanks, Adam. One for you, Miles, that keeps coming up. The company seems to be a financial outperformer relative to its peers. So on a to look at the comps, there's really not, everybody in the financial business wants to see a comp. If you're one utility, what's the other utility do? There's no real measurement. There's no real comp for this company that we can find, right? That we can show to the clients and say, this looks cheap. How are you approaching the institutions, right? And more sophisticated investors? What's your financial message, right, to the audience there about Bitcoin Well and its potential for cash flow?
You're right. Early stage financial companies or early stage financial technology companies or software companies typically do not have positive net income because they're in that growth stage. And the standard valuation for a mature company is price to earnings multiple, PE multiple. And in a company like this, that's just not part of how you would think about valuation. I have had a look at our peers and how they're valued, what metrics are used by analysts who do research in the sector. The most common one we see right now would be a revenue multiple, commonly enterprise value to revenue multiple. And right now, if we looked at where our peers were at, roughly in that, call that 6.5 to 7 times, where are we at? Well, we're significantly below that in terms of valuation. And that's not because we don't generate revenue. In fact, that was one of the things that attracted me to the company. It's generated $85 million in revenue in the 9 months year to date in 2021, which is significantly ahead of a lot of other smaller public companies in this space. We're just not getting the valuation in the stock. So the value play is there. The strategy is there to achieve revenue and to grow the company. What we need to see is that in this case, what I would think is enterprise value to revenue multiple comes up, and that comes up when the stock price comes up. So, speaking with investors like we are today, attracting new investors and attracting interest to the stock and to the company is part of what I'm here to do.
Real good, Miles. So I'm good. We're excited, right? Like the upside is there and it's measurable. So at this point, I'll just ask, I'm not sure who's taking questions. Raheem, are you taking questions, or is Jeff? Because we have a number of questions in the box. Is there anything else, Anthony, you'd like to add, Adam?
No, I think these are good questions that are coming up. I've got the slide open. Depending on how Jeff, Raheem, you want to do this, I can take the questions in the Q&A there. However you want.
Why don't we just back up for a second, because we've had Alan join us. Alan has a very reputable background coming from some institutions and definitely from the predecessor or from his previous firm, Neo, who a lot of people in Alberta don't know about but should know, and it's one of the most fastest growing, most successful fintech companies. And he has emerged from scaling of that company and now transitioned here. So Alan, if if you want to speak a little bit, as David suggested, a little bit about your background, what attracted you to Bitcoin Well, and where do you see this opportunity per se as you start to build out your career aspect? Because it's one thing to transition from a top Canadian firm to an emerging Canadian firm to a bootstrapping revenue growing firm.
Yeah, thanks for that. Adam did a great job of introducing me, so I won't speak on my career from way back when, but maybe just focus on the last couple of years. And definitely my choice to leave sort of the traditional bank and be involved in a startup is to really build something innovative and long lasting and transformative. Right. And it's key to partnering with the right management group, and the guys from Skip the Dishes that started Neo Financial. I knew they'd done it before and they can do it again. So, partnering with them was amazing. To grow from 25 to 500 individuals and ramp that business up was awesome. I wanted to come back to Edmonton though, and I got contacted, put in contact with Adam, and after chatting with him a couple nights, man, I could see that his vision of growing Bitcoin Well into something large and scalable was there. So I joined on board immediately. And it's only been a month, but it's been a wild ride, and the leadership team is completely focused on growing this business, and I'm extremely charged up to be a part of it.
That's great, and I appreciate that. And Adam, you see the questions starting to formulate there. So let's just go through them just quickly in summary. How does Bitcoin Well make money?
Good question. Yeah, it's definitely, Brent, thanks for that question. Definitely on the transaction. So we have a fee that we charge to the consumer in a retail transaction. And that fee is kind of taken one of three different ways, and in some cases, all three ways. First way is in a fixed fee. So we charge per transaction, a fixed dollar amount transaction on that transaction. The second way is through spread. And so we charge anywhere or upwards of 18% on some transactions in that spread. And the third way actually doesn't affect the customer, and it's on the backside where we can through software and some of that AI and machine learning that I was talking about earlier, we can actually take that spread on the backside in a similar way to how the traditional finance market goes. And so kind of building into your next question there, Brent, it's actually a really nice segue to how that works. The reason we haven't maybe perceptionally scaled as fast is I think because we have a real business. Lots of other organizations in this sector are just, to use the term lightly, vaporware, not really having a real business or a real revenue model, kind of still searching out where the market fit is. We have a cemented market fit, and we're producing significant amounts of revenue. Second to that is building an infrastructure around a non-custodial financial service model, which is the model that we have, a direct-to-consumer model, is challenging. And to borrow words from Henry Ford, we're not building a faster horse here. We're building the automobile. And I think that when you do that, you need to set up the infrastructure in such a way that that gives scalability. And if I could draw on my own experience from that, in 2017, we set things up to be a cash cow, and it was that. It was a one-man show, and I was tearing around like a chicken with my head cut off, and the business was printing money. And we left so much money on the table during that bull run because the business wasn't set up to scale. And I vowed to myself that I would never, ever let the company be in a position where we wouldn't be able to scale and grow with the emerging market. And so we took time, we did it right, we set up the infrastructure in order to scale. And that's why we're able to see the scalability that we're achieving now, and why we're going to continue bolstering the infrastructure to be able to continue scaling in that way.
That's a great, sort of explanation of how the business is going to take advantage. I think as the industry, I don't even think anywhere near maturing, but as it starts to enhance further growth with new institutional capital, but then also, the general public, one question that comes to me often through clients is who is using the ATM machines? What is the profile of the person using the ATM machine, and how has it evolved over the last 12, 15, 18 months. And something that Dave has mentioned in the past, Canada is one aspect of your business model, but millions and millions and millions of people don't have a bank account. Hundreds of millions of people don't have a bank account. Where is the opportunity there?
Yeah, absolutely. So to answer your first question first, people using Bitcoin ATM are people that want to buy Bitcoin in the fastest and safest way possible. You can walk up to a Bitcoin machine and walk out with Bitcoin in less than 2 minutes. There's just strictly no faster way of buying Bitcoin. And when I say safest way to buy Bitcoin, you actually see where your money goes and then you receive Bitcoin in real time. This is so much different than using a website online and sending funds that way. And so people using the Bitcoin ATM, by and large, understand the risks of a custodial product, and they use the Bitcoin ATM accordingly. Speaking about banking the unbanked, part of this realized and revamped vision of making Bitcoin usable to the mass market accomplishes that. We envision a future where people can hold Bitcoin in the same way they hold their dollars. And right now they hold their dollars with someone else, and we want to absolutely alleviate that. But they use their dollars with the existing payment rails that exist in the countries that they live and work in. So if we can give someone a way to hold their Bitcoin in a mobile wallet that they trust, that's open source, that they know they control the private keys and they know they control the funds are safe within that wallet, and then give them local ways to interact with their Bitcoin how they need to. Sometimes that's cash through an ATM. Sometimes it's paying their Visa bill through our bill payments network. Sometimes it's buying more Bitcoin with our Visa debit service. Sometimes it's sending money in a different country to others. The opportunities are endless once you have this centralized ecosystem that allows users to own and control their own money. It's our job to make their Bitcoin as usable as possible throughout the world.
Fantastic. And then just transitioning to a question around regulations, can you speak to, using cash to buy Bitcoin and using non-custodial wallets? So essentially, where are the regulations coming in? What is the potential impact on the business? Or let's put it this way, what is the potential opportunity for the business?
Yeah, I think it is opportunity. I think that, like the reference earlier, we're not building a faster horse. People are familiar with the custodial model, and the custodial model, the regulators have taken an issue with the custodial model. Custodians have a lot of responsibility that not all of them take appropriately. I mean, just look, last year alone, we had 2 major custodians in the USA that had problems with hundreds of millions of dollars in custodied funds that poof disappear because of the error on the custodian. Users' funds are not exposed in that same way when you use Bitcoin well as a service. And I think that as we continue to march down this irreversible transaction model that the benefits of Bitcoin include, the custodian model just doesn't work anymore, because custodians make mistakes all the time. Our existing massive $100 trillion bank, I'm being hyperbolic there, banking market and banking environment makes mistakes every single day, but they make mistakes within that reversible transaction world where you can simply reverse transactions that go to the wrong account. When you're working with Bitcoin, when you're working with the blockchain, the benefits of that, the security of that, are that you cannot reverse those transactions. So when custodians make those mistakes, which again happens every single day, somebody has to pay for it. It's either the customer, the investor, or the insurance company. I don't think investors and insurance company have that type of risk appetite, and we know that customers don't have that type of risk appetite. So I think we're really well positioned to use the non-custodial business model to our benefit. Now, that said, regulators have taken the position that a custodial environment is bound by the rules and regulations of the CSA. They have explicitly taken the position that non-custodial service offers are not bound by those same regulations. So we're seeing a gap in the regulatory market that we're filling really, really nicely, because we are not bound by those same rules and regulations, because our business is so safe from the regulatory point of view. And then on top of that, of course, we are fully money service business certified, and we follow all regulations that FINTRAC has for money service businesses, just like they've been around for decades. So using cash to buy Bitcoin is no problem. We do so at our ATMs, and we do so by following the compliance standards that exist in the world and that have existed for decades.
Interesting point, Adam. I would say in the interest of time, Raheem, do you want to go on with some more questions? Just give me a second. I just wanted to open the floor to Dave Bradley and say, Dave, you have anything you want to add here? It's been an interesting last couple of years for you with this group. So, what's your vision of where things go here in the short to medium term? I always like your opinion about the business itself, right? And the comment that I thought was always most interesting is volatility is actually better. Like the Bitcoin volatility is actually better for Bitcoin Well, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of in the same boat as both Alan and Miles in that I'm here because I'm excited to be part of this team, and I'm excited by where things are going. I've been in Bitcoin for a long time, and that has given me a lot of opportunities. And this is sort of where I've decided the most interesting stuff is going on, and the most transformative things are being built. So that's why I wanted to be a part of this. And I think to your point about that, the volatility, that's really true. That's something that's never going away, I think, in Bitcoin. As long as Bitcoin is priced in dollars, we're going to see very sudden price decreases and very sudden price increases. And we're, as a business, pretty well positioned to take advantage of both of those, because at either of those times, people either want to buy or they want to sell. And then we're there to be the counterparty to that and make some money off of that. So that's my thoughts on the volatility.
Dave, I think you're muted. Dave Townsend, sorry.
There I am. So, Dave, thank you for your comments. Adam, I think you built your team continues to deepen, the bench deepens, the opportunity gets bigger. And I think, Raheem, do you want to ask, we'll get those questions answered offline. We like to keep these things about 35 minutes, keep everybody interested.
I'll
finish
questions
I'll
quick.
finish
I
with-
don't shy away from any answers that are out there. I can hammer through, and then if there's an opportunity for people to email ir@bitcoinwell.com with questions, I will personally answer those by end of day today if anyone has any questions that they haven't asked in the chat.
Well, Adam, let's look at this. So investors naturally are concerned when the stock price goes lower.
Of course.
You continue to build the business. Now, what the market reflects and what the business is worth, the parameter of where you're measured is your stock price. The parameter of where your business and how it's successful is your strategy. So when you start to monetize and deliver, the stock price will take care of itself. In the near term, the additions of Miles and Alan, those are very credible people. You're building the C-suite. These people wouldn't be coming if the opportunity and the potential wasn't there. In addition, I think investors should know you are the largest investor in your own company. You have the most to lose, the most to gain. And when the Minister of Jobs, whoever it is, knows you by name, and you have employees to look down to or up to, this is a very important trajectory that you guys are on over the coming 6 to 12 to 18 months. You can speak to the audience in terms of, where you're taking the business. The stock price, on the other hand, I think it's going to be based on performance and getting the word out. And I know those things are, always on the horizon. The stock market will take care of the stock market. Things rise and they fall. Good businesses are everlasting. So I'll leave it to you to speak to the audience in terms of, the direction of where things are going, and in what are some of the actionable items that you feel that the market should be aware of as the business starts to accelerate.
Yeah, thanks for that, Raheem. And I definitely agree. I mean, if anyone looks at the cap table, you'll see my name in bolded letters multiple times, because I believe in this. This is where my life's work is, and this is where it will continue to be for decades to come. I really, really believe that we enable independence, and specifically financial independence. And that's an important job. It's an important task. And I understand how Bitcoin can be used. I didn't walk into this with a programming background or with any kind of technical background. I walked into this with a business mindset, and I understand what building an important and a usable product is to the greater world. Right now, obviously, we need eyeballs in the story, and that's part of our campaigns, bringing Miles on board, working with our investor relations contractors and those groups that we have to bring those. I also think, too, if you look at our chart, against the price of Bitcoin, they are tracking quite closely. If you look at other large organizations that have listed, you see them dipping in the first few months. So I think that I'm not super concerned on the short term. I'm not here for a short term. If anyone looks at the details, you'll see that I took 0 cash on the go public transaction. I wanted to maintain as much equity as possible in this business because I believe in the longevity and the future of the organization. Building a way to bank the unbanked, the hundreds of millions of people worldwide that exist, and making a way for existing banks consumers to see the benefits of Bitcoin with the convenience they currently have with modern banking. Modern banking is great. You can tap our phone to pay. All the stuff that I went through earlier, it's really, really convenient. We're taking all those luxuries and building them into a model that flips the traditional financial system on its head. And I believe that this is giving the consumer the engine. We're not building them a faster horse. We're giving them the engine. Again, to use another analogy, the knock on the first iPhone was that it had no buttons. Imagine a world today with a phone that has buttons, right? We scoff at buttons. Buttons are useless. They take up valuable screen on our phones, on the devices in our pockets. We're building a glass phone. We're building an engine for the automobile. We're building something that we know is going to be important for the future of independence and specifically financial independence. And I cannot wait to see that vision realized.
Adam?
Dave, I'll pass it over to you, Dave.
That was, to say the least, passionate, right? So I think the message is across. We have a team here that sees an opportunity and is going to be able to finance their way forward and develop this. So at this point, we'll get the rest of the questions answered. We've gone 40 minutes here. Thank you all, gentlemen, very much for your time. And we look forward to talking to you soon. And again, thank you for the opportunity. Good afternoon.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.